She's not here, but go ahead.
Oh, that's all right. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Education meeting of North Rose-Wolcott Central School. We will begin tonight's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First order of business tonight is approving tonight's agenda. A motion, please, to approve the agenda. Linda and Travis. Any discussion? All in favor of approving tonight's agenda? Motion is carried. It is time for our presentation. Mr. Pullen, I'll turn it over to you to make that introduction.
Thank you, Mrs. Collier. So Mr. de Blasi is going to come up and present the budget for the Board of Education's consideration. We're hoping that we land on a number tonight. After last week's board workshop, we got the feedback from the Board of Education as to what you'd like to see. I think we've met our objective and we're going to deliver on our goal of giving you a balanced budget, something that's reasonable for our community to accept and something that we feel is very fiscally prudent and something that will keep our programs intact. I was given the feedback recently about, the fact that we try to deliver the best possible program for our students, and I agree with that sentiment. And I also would add to the sentiment that we provide the best possible program in an affordable fashion. We're not going out there wishing for the sun, the moon, and the stars. I think this is a really prudent and reasonable budget. And I think you're going to see that the district recognizes we need to make some concessions in order for our community to continue to support us the way they have. So Mr. de Blasi will go through. I'll chime in on certain things, and then if need be, Mrs. Pagliatti will present as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do a disclaimer. I wasn't sure I was going to make it tonight, so there's like 3 versions of the presentation floating around, and I hope I grabbed the right one. I think I did. Uh-oh. There we go. As usual, we'll start with our budget guidelines, educationally and fiscally sound. And as the superintendent just mentioned, reflect prudent financial planning while balancing the needs of all our students. And importantly, minimizing the impact on taxpayers. Our budget goals: do what's best for students now and in the future. I think I added into the future last year because it's very important that the Board of Education understands decisions we make today will impact future boards of education. And a lot of times, I've seen it in my career, people get focused on the here and now and forget about the later. Minimize the budget-to-budget increase, stay within a tax cap limit, maintaining program as much as possible, maintain our bus replacement schedule, and continue our capital outlay projects. Unique challenges for this year. These are the grants that are going to be going away in the near future and the dollar amount of the programs that they're impacting. So when we're losing that kind of money, and we expect to lose more next year in our grants, it puts more onus on the local budget to try to support programs. This district was pretty responsible in putting in place with the grant money programs that were supplemental to what we do. So when the grant goes away, unfortunately, a lot of those services will need to go away. Here's a list of some of the programs negatively impacted. Important things. And I say that about every dollar a school spends. Because I've been on the inside, I know that people are trying to do the right thing all the time. And unfortunately, it doesn't always get to happen that way. Where we started, our maintenance-based budget was 39,924. Revenue projection number 1 was 37,970, and that left us with nearly a $2 million shortfall. We've talked about it. Options to address the shortfall. You decrease your spending or you increase your revenue. Only one thing we can control on our revenue, and that's taxes. Oops, let me go back. And we're hoping for more state aid. The original governor's proposal included 1% increase on foundation aid, which isn't helping. Like, we need more, and that's what people have been advocating for. Tax cap this year is at 3.37. That would be an additional 388,500 to increase our tax levy to 9,023,000. Based on the conversation we've had and the feedback, we think this is responsible to go out at the tax cap. And of course, you have the power to make a different choice tonight. So for a $100,000 home, what would that do? It'd increase your tax bill $23 over 12 months. So revenue projection number 2, what does it include? We have to make some assumptions because we have to adopt a budget tonight, a proposed budget. And of course, the state's budget is not done by their April 1st deadline. So we have to make some assumptions. First one is we've been hearing a lot that the governor's 1% increase on our foundation aid will be increased to 2% as the minimum. High need rural district, we're certainly hoping more than 2%. But for our assumptions, we think it's responsible to say, based on the conversations we're hearing out of Albany, 2% is not unfounded. So we'll use that as we move forward. Also included in there, to revenue projection number 2, will be the tax cap increase of $388,000. So where does that leave us? Revenue projection number 2, compared to our maintenance-based budget, leaves us now at a shortfall of 1.4 million. So we're getting a little closer. We already talked about the revenue side. So the other option is we got to decrease our appropriations or our spending. So these are the reductions that we're proposing at this time. 2 administrative positions, 4 teaching positions, 4 support staff, known savings from retirements for a total of $844,000. Very important. Plan subject to change depending on new information as it comes in. So the plan we have is not a plan written in stone, but it's a developmental plan. State aid could be higher, let's hope. We could have some retirements, we could have some resignations. So far with these reductions, direct personnel impact, we're hoping to minimize that. So these are going to be some retirements and some open positions that have not been filled to date. And since we were unable to fill them and we've survived, we figured we can try to keep surviving. But it's very important to understand these positions hurt. It's going to hurt the people left behind because there's a lot of work that these people do. And it's going to fall on everybody that's here. And I only make that a point because a lot of times if the position isn't filled or there's a retirement, we think, oh, there's no pain. But there is, and there's sacrifice going to be made by the rest of us. So to pathway to address the shortfall was there was our 1.4 shortfall after taking into consideration revenue projection number 2, less our budget reductions, leaves us with a remaining shortfall of 570. We're proposing addressing that shortfall by the use of fund balance. Okay, every year we do use some of the reserves to support our budget, and historically we've been able to replenish those reserves through, some luck, a lot of strategy. But we're starting to get to that point where it's not going to be as easy going forward. So we want to be careful about this and make sure we study it at the end of this year, at the end of next year, of how did this impact us. So we're comfortable with that number now. But again, the budget is an estimate. So we're comfortable now. We expect it to work, but we'll know at the end of the school year. Hard part is we're trying to do a budget that's 14 months out, 16 months out of the end of the year. Things change. The Strait of Hormuz might open. Who knows? So our proposed budget option tonight is the maintenance base less the budget reductions. Gives you a proposed budget amount of $39,080,000. On the ballot will be, of course, the budget, and I've left that blank because that's up for the Board of Education to decide the amount. We've talked about our buses, 335 passenger, 264 passenger. And the proposition number 3, annual library appropriations. And again, the school district just collects this money on behalf of the libraries and disperses it back to them. The important dates. We've gone through a few. I like my big red, this did not happen April 1st. Even though we're required to adopt our proposed budget tonight, it's hard to do without 60% of the information we need. And then, of course, May 19th, third Tuesday in May, we present the budget to the community, and we hope for their support. That's our goal. It's always our goal.
Questions, comments, or feedback for us?
Board members, anything to say? I know we discussed it at length at our workshop, but now we're at an official discussion time. Anyone want to comment? I think it's, I'll comment. I think it's vitally important that the public understand that the amount that we've come up with already contains cuts and losses. As I look over on, what page is that? Let's see, with the, all right, the grants that we've lost. That's on page 2. That the public realize that these grants have been vital to what we've been doing, and a lot of our parents in particular depend on these. I commend the superintendent for trying to keep vital programs alive and not be totally dependent on grants. But for the public, they need to know we've lost 6 major grants. Stop School Violence, Extended School Day, Stronger Connections, Mental Health Awareness Training, School Violence Prevention, and Title I School Improvement. There are some in there that are near and dear to my heart that I don't want to see go away, and I would certainly hope that if the governor's budget amount comes through greater than what we're anticipating, that we can manage to maybe fund some of those. And I would, and in losing those grants, we've lost this. These are things that are being negatively impacted. The school resource officer funding, middle school book clubs, expeditions of empowerment, literacy volunteers, community reads program, multi-tiered systems of support coaching, middle school after-school programs and supplies, parent liaison positions, trauma responsive professional development, grant-funded training. Those are all important to us, but we may have to bite the bullet on that. Tina?
Yeah, I'm guessing that there are mandated programs that we have to keep that were funded through some of these grants as well.
There are.
Speaking in your mic.
Yep, there are. But there's also stuff like we're not losing our school resource officer. We're just funding it differently. So when Mr. de Blasi shows you the deficit, that all comes at a cost, right? So the things that have to go into general fund are part of the deficit. So that's the piece for what we're doing is, like, again, we've been very strategic with using grant funds that we've qualified over the years. The federal government is just not releasing those grants. Right. And the grants that they are releasing are becoming so competitive that we hope that we get some grant funding, but we're not certain. Whereas in the past, we had a very strong assurance that we would qualify based on our needs. So when we think about what we do and we think about sustainability, we're always implementing programs that would say, you know, we're not a sole source from one particular area. The taxpayers have spoken to us loud and clear over the years as to what they value, and we continue to invest in what's valued. But again, they're actually funding more out of their own pockets versus what was supplemented through grant funds. And that's really what it comes down to. So there will be a change of business. There are things that Mr. de Blasi pointed out to say, we're going to do more with less, and we're going to do different with less. I mean, those two things are very real factors. And the one part that we know is, he said, it's a projection, it's an estimate. You know, we know what our budget is on May 19th. You know, and then it changes almost immediately because some of our aid is based on the potential enrollment for UPK. Some of our aid's based on transportation, and we have to capitalize 100% on those areas to get the full amount of aid. And in some cases, if we don't have UPK students across the board to receive the maximum aid, we don't get it. So we have to make that money up through general fund as well. You know, so there's a lot of things that, you know, play into the budget, but we're definitely going to look differently next year.
When I was just looking at the mental health awareness, I mean,
Yep.
we're still going to have mental health needs.
We-
We're going to have to shift things to cover that.
We will, and our SPOA coordinators will pick that up. Our social workers will pick that up. Our school psychologists, our counselors, our admin team. The work is not going away. It's just falling to different people.
And that's more my point.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I would also like to point out to the public in particular that on page 5, the home true value assessment, many residents have the misconception that if the school budget goes up a certain percent, their taxes will go up that same percentage. That is not the way it works. That percentage is split through among all the residents of the district, and that is dependent on the towns themselves and what their assessors establish as their tax basis. And as improvements are made on homes or buildings are built, the tax base increases. And when the tax base increases, the tax rate goes down for that town, and that's what you multiply times the value of your home. So for taxpayers that might be having a moment of panic, they shouldn't have, because it is not as devastating as they think it's going to be. It's really quite minimal. $100,000 home, and we do have homes that are way over that, and we do have homes that are much less than that. But in general, a home that is valued at $100,000 has a $23 tax increase. That is not bad considering what the increase in other things are going up as well. And the taxpayers cannot assume or expect that the school district is going to be able to maintain the same level of expenditure as it was last year, when everything is going up, and our expenses go up too. So I think that's a real important thing, and I'm glad it's in here. So let's go back. Do anyone else have questions or comments?
Well, it was good to hear that we're still keeping some of
Is
the
your mic on?
programming. Yes, my mic is on.
Okay.
Good to hear that some of the programming will still go forth even though the grant funding is gone. But I was curious if any of these are like completely going away, or if we're still trying to manage all of these programs on page 3. You know, the parent liaisons and some of these others, are we still just trying to make that happen with other aspects of the budget? Just so I understand.
Yeah, certain decisions will have to be made.
Okay.
So it probably is going to look more along the lines of critically important needs versus what we've been able to do. So business as usual. And with some of these respective positions, because they involve real people, we're just putting we're putting the topic up there now, and once we know what our number is, we'll have individual conversations with people to share with them what the future looks like moving forward. But for parent liaisons, there's a likelihood that, we won't have 5 positions. That's something that we've kind of looked at in the past, where we were able to grow it based on our capacity and the funds that were there, and it's worked really well. But that is a potential cut where, your school leadership team and the teams that are already in existence within the building with the administrators are going to have to pick up some of those outreach activities that they've done. And we may prioritize 1 parent liaison or 2 parent liaisons to continue the work, but we won't be in a position where in the past we had 1 per each building, we had 1 with technology, we had 1 with our E&L population. I think right now we're going to look at critical areas of need and then move forward from there.
Thank you.
Yep. And the multi-tiered system of support, the MTSS coaches, it's similar to what we've discussed in the past collectively. The roles are going to differ. The implementation's well in place, and that now it's time where other people are going to need to step up. So we're not getting rid of MTSS. We're just going to look at things differently, and we've targeted certain areas that we know students and community have different avenues to pursue extracurriculars. So our priority right now is keep our youngest learners engaged after school with adult support. So we have a very good wraparound program that served well for our community. So if you go back a slide and you're able to see where some of those grants are ending, Mr. de Blasi did point out some of them are going right through the summer. Some of them are going to end at the completion of this school year. More funds will be depleted over the course of the 26-27 fiscal year. So we're trying to endure as long as we can. We knew this day was coming, but some of the things that were still intact are not on this list. But the wraparound program is one that our community benefits from greatly. Tracy Richards does a wonderful job for us in the morning and after school at the elementary. That's going to stay intact. We know that at middle school, students have opportunities in 7th grade and 8th grade to participate in extracurricular activities. So we feel like they're still having ample opportunity to engage. We want to make sure there's equity at the elementary level. High school, we know there's plenty of opportunities here. We want to target elementary and keep our focus there so that our youngest learners stay engaged. So it is challenging. It's not something that's unique to North Rose-Wolcott. It's something where, again, when I came in, I've said this to many people in the community before, sustainability was one of the areas that I was given a charge with. And the decisions that we've made collectively over my 6 budgets, I think reflect that. And I think that we've been able to, really utilize local funds and grant funds to put some nice things in place. And I also understand that, we're only as good as our last effort. And I think we're going to keep a lot of good things in place, but we're going to do so in a reasonably cost-effective manner.
I think another thing the board needs to understand is the fund balance. The every year, at the end of the year, once all expenses are taken out, there will be money left over. There needs to be a fund balance in any budget. If you don't have a fund balance and you suddenly have a major expense that you hadn't planned on, and you don't have extra money in there to deal with that, you have to borrow it, and that costs money. So it's prudent to have in the budget what you anticipate you may have to spend. Sometimes we don't spend all of it. That leaves us with that fund balance. Typically in the past, the fund balance has been rolled over into the reserves so that it's not wasted. It's saved, and that saves taxpayers in the future, again, from of having a savings accounts to draw from. That's super important, the same as in our homes. So when this anticipation of the $570,000 from a fund balance means that that amount won't be going into reserves unless the fund balance is bigger than that amount. But I think it's real important for us to be very careful that we don't it's very important for us not to shortfall our reserves, because it doesn't hurt us, it hurts future boards and future activities or needs for future boards. But always, we do usually roll some into the budget to help this year, because this is the year those people paid those taxes. So that's how we work that. We have to adopt a budget tonight amount. And that budget amount, if you'd put that on the screen, there we go. And the proposed budget is $39,080,000. We need to, is there anyone on the board who has a problem with that? Understanding what's happening here. Understanding cuts have already been made to get to that number. Then that's the amount that we will propose to adopt tonight, correct? And that will be coming to you as a green sheet, on a green sheet, after the consent agenda, because it couldn't be it couldn't be in the consent agenda because we didn't know the amount yet. So we'll be proving that then after consent, okay? Is there anything else?
I think I've done enough. You gotta go before the tomatoes start flowing.
Well, I
Did a
hope,
Good job.
yes, thank you very much. I know you have agonized over this one a lot. All right, thank you, Andrew. Is there, Tina, anyone who wants to speak to the board tonight?
There's no one.
No one, all right. Then we move to reports and correspondence. We'll start with the building liaisons of the board. Casey, do you have anything from the elementary?
I do. Karen did send an update. So from the elementary school, they had parent-teacher conferences this week. These are student-led conferences where students have a voice and can share what they are learning as well as their goals for the end of the school year. They also had the Parent Community Fair Literacy Night for families on Wednesday, so last night. The families were able to learn about community resources, get free books, attend the book fair, and talk with elementary school staff. And it sounds like it was a very well-attended event.
That sounds great. Thank you. Leslie, do you have anything from the middle school?
I do. So, the middle school has also had parent-teacher conferences. I think that's a little bit of a theme
Can
for
you turn
today.
your sound up a little bit,
Oh,
please?
sure.
So everyone can hear.
All right. I'll be louder, I guess. All right. The quarter 3 ends on Friday, so hope the children are getting their homework done, right? They're going to have an assembly on April 24th. So again, they'll have 2 separate assemblies. 5 and 6 will be first at 12:45, and then 7 and 8 will have their assembly at 1:30. The NJHS students get to go to the elementary school to read to students. So I think that's going to be a fun time for all those kids to get to read together. That will be a great way for them to connect. I'd also asked Crystal a question about some of the incentives because I've seen some of the things they've been doing to help motivate the students. And she said that the kids have been really enjoying those and have been trying to have good behavior and take care of things they're responsible for so they can be a part of this. They get pride passes. So those pride passes, a student has to have 85% or higher for attendance, GPA, and be in good behavioral standing. So they've got some things to shoot for with that.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of students taking advantage of that. So that's been good. Hopefully we'll have a lot of them getting to do the egg hunt that's coming up in April so that middle school's doing well.
Great. Travis, do you have anything from the high school?
I do. Today, NRW High School hosted Founders Day commemorative assembly featuring student musical performances, student speakers, and historical presentations to celebrate the shared history of Butler, Huron, Rose, and Wolcott as they celebrate their 200th anniversary. This assembly was designed to introduce students to local leaders while helping them better understand the communities that make up what is historically known as Old Wolcott. And then last evening, our counselors hosted a college and career fair that included representatives from 6 colleges, 9 employers, and 4 branches of the military. Students and families from NRW and surrounding towns were invited to visit and speak with the representatives, which was a great opportunity for our students.
Great. Is John online? Yes. Hi, John.
Hello.
Do you have anything from Cougar Ops?
I asked Mark if he had a report.
Okay, we're turning it over to Mark. All right.
Thank you, Mark.
So we're in the final stretch. We, so far in our credit recovery program, we've recovered 54 quarters. Sounds like a strange number. That's 54 quarters as in a 10-week period of a course. We have several students who have made significant progress and a couple others that are going to come in pretty close to the wire, but we're working really hard to get them there for graduation.
Good.
We have 35 students scheduled in our hub, which is our prevention program. Students come into the hub when they're in danger of failing core classes, and those are first and second year students. And so far to date this year, we've had 46 students in our tutoring center through home hospital tutoring for suspended students in surrounding districts.
Thank you, Mark. Linda, do you have anything to report from Fork County or the Legislative Committee?
I do. Fork County Board of Directors met and did some homework and housekeeping things at the last meeting that was at Club 86. Fork County Legislative Committee will be meeting on Saturday, and we're going to be reviewing some new information about the federal, I hate to use the word cuts, but cuts, things that are going to be, amounts that are going to be lowered in terms of grants and all of that. I'll have more specifics after that. And that's it.
Okay.
Handbook committee's nothing ahead of time, so you don't have to ask.
All right. Travis, do you have anything from district safety?
Not at this time.
All
Nothing from
right.
district
Or
safety
audit?
or audit.
No. Linda, handbook, anything? No. Tina, anything from communication? No. John, do you have anything from personnel or negotiations?
No, I do not.
Okay, thank you. Leslie, anything from policy?
Not at this time.
Okay. And our student reps aren't with us tonight. I'm sure they're off busy doing whatever it is they're up to. I know they're very involved students, and we're glad for that. At this time, we need to take a short break to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of specific employees. We will be back very shortly. So a motion, please. Leslie and Tina, any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. to public session. And we are at number 5 on our agenda, the consent agenda. A motion, please, to approve the consent agenda. Casey and Leslie, discussion. The consent agenda goes through page 5. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion is carried. At this time, we need to add the budget item to our agenda. You'll need to see your green sheet. First, I need a motion to put the green sheet on the agenda. Travis and Linda, any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. And now the green sheet resolution, the adoption of the 2026-2027 budget spending plan in the amount of $39,080,000. A motion, please. Tina and Leslie. Discussion. Tina, would you call the roll?
Cinda,
Yes?
Tina,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Casey. Yes. Linda,
Yes.
Leslie,
Yes.
Travis.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried.
Motion is carried. We come now to board member requests, comments, and discussion. Does anyone have anything to bring before the board? Any good news? John, you have some? No.
Facebook just a while ago, was Founder's Day, was at the high school?
Yes,
I think it was mentioned, but it seemed like it was Rose had talked to me. She said there was some problems with the audio and visual. However, the program was very good.
I was there and I don't recall anything other than the
Video buffered for a minute.
it didn't download as quick as it should. That was all, I think. That happens to me on my computer all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else?
And actually, the student participation was really great
Yeah, it was.
to see how involved and how much they enjoyed being a part of it.
Yeah.
It was a great program.
I learned a lot. There were most of those things I did not know, so it was
bet.
really good.
Yeah.
The kids did a great job,
They
too.
did.
They did a really good
They
job.
really did. Nice to see everybody with the music and everything. Also, yesterday, late afternoon was a multi-school track meet. And my sister attended that because her grandson attends South Seneca and was there. And she was very positive about the whole experience and how it was run. And because she has trouble walking, she just loved that the parking lot was near the track. And it was apparently a really successful thing. So kudos to who was running that? Duke? Mr. Blankenberg and Duke. So kudos to them. The one thing that she commented on was that they all rooted and clapped for each other. It wasn't, a vicious fight among the schools. It was, anything else? All right. We do not need an executive session.
But you have your proclamation.
Oh, God. Before we close, I have one delightful thing to do. Today is Lois Waffler's 100th birthday. And Lois has been a long supporter of our school, and the board wants to present this proclamation to her, and I'm going to read it to you. Whereas Mrs. Lois Waffler has witnessed 100 years of history, progress, and change, including several decades spent within the North Rose-Wolcott Central School District, and whereas Mrs. Waffler, along with her husband Fritz, founded Waffler Farms in 1959, growing it into a large-scale farm and nursery, now in its third generation of family ownership. And whereas Mrs. Waffler and the Waffler family have been longtime supporters of the community and of the North Rose-Wolcott Central School District and its students. Whereas the celebration of Mrs. Waffler's centennial birthday is a tribute to not only her longevity, but her community impact and her values of education and hard work. We, the North Rose-Wolcott Board of Education, do hereby congratulate Mrs. Lois Waffler on her 100th birthday, proclaimed this 9th day of April 2026. We would have loved to have had her with us tonight, but we also know that today was a very busy day for her. And so we'll make sure that this gets to her and tell her how much we appreciate her. Is there anything else? Then a motion, please, to adjourn. Tina and Casey? Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. We are adjourned.